Hello and welcome to Whisky with GreatDrams podcast. I'm Kirsty Dillon.
I'm Greg.
And we are independent bottlers and now podcasters from GreatDrams. We work and think all things whisky. And today's episode, we're going to spend some time thinking about what we miss from lockdown times and what we're looking forward to, because, you know, now is hopefully a time to look forward, to make some plans. We've all missed out on so much, and now it's time to return to normality, or the new normal, as everybody talks about. So we've got some guests on today to talk through what their feelings are and what they've been missing and what they're looking forward to, and we hope you enjoy.
So the news this week is we've had some amazing releases pop into the inbox and some into the sample tray as well. Most notably the Talisker 43-year-old, which you'll be reviewing on GreatDrams in due course. Even the sample packaging looks amazing. 7.5 grand price tag, so that's a little bit punchy, but I'm incredibly grateful to have received quite a generous sized sample of that this week. So we'll dive into that in due course. Also, elsewhere, Glasgow Distillery have launched their first distillery exclusive under the Glasgow 1770 brand with Cooper's cask release. There's not many of those guys knocking around. Actually, I had a look on the website earlier and it crashed several times while I was trying to actually buy my own bottle. So I'm guessing they are flying out the door. We also had a rather curious one pop in that I actually had to ask Kirsty if it was April the 1st, as Glenmorangie, or Glenmorangie as it's properly pronounced, creates a single malt whiskey made to mix called Glenmorangie, X by Glenmorangie. That's it, X by Glenmorangie. So the idea is to think about different occasions, and the press release read Glenmorangie X brunch, i.e. times brunch, Glenmorangie times date night, karaoke, party, etc. Interesting. But made to mix, quite a cool campaign. The actual label looks quite funky. So yeah, we're working on getting a sample of that, so we're going to actually try it. But it'll be 30 quid when it is released on the 1st of May on their awesome online shop. If you've ever seen it, called Clos19. Otherwise at Amazon and various other places as well. And then finally, actually today, the day of recording this, the Oxford Artisan Distillery, or Toad as it's affectionately known as, they're actually releasing their very first certified organic grain to glass distillery release, which is their Oxford Rye Whisky batch number 1. And so in about 1 hour 58 minutes, I'll be on the press launch for that. And a rather curious package arrived earlier this week with a sample of that, sample of their new make, a little bottle including the rye grain, which is really cool, smells amazing by the way, and a copper rivet with absolutely no explanation as to why. So I'm looking forward to that very much. So that's the news and all the latest releases from this week. Why don't we start thinking about what we actually missed from pre-lockdown days? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, we were having a chat about this, weren't we? And there's so many different aspects of what we've missed beforehand. But obviously we are involved in booze and socialising and hospitality trade. So that's where we're going to focus what we've missed on. There's hundreds of other things that we've missed into. Family, friends, don't think that we haven't thought about you in
Sure.
this. But yes, we are focusing on hospitality mainly, really. And for me, it has to be atmosphere. I really, really miss it. That buzz when you walk into a pub or a restaurant and people are... I didn't even think I noticed it before, to be honest, but it's those people that are having conversations, the bar staff are there, lots of different people going about their different, activities, really. Some people having nice celebratory lunches, other people out working. It just doesn't exist anymore. And even though things are reopening and everyone's doing the best that they can, that atmosphere is so hard to come by, because it was, you know, although everybody had their cares and their worries in their own lives, this has been a real uniting worry, hasn't it? So wherever we go in anywhere, it's, you know, masks, antibacterial wipes and everything being sanitised, and that kind of automatically makes it very real.
Raises the barrier, doesn't it?
And it's fair enough, that's obviously the right thing to do, given where we are. But those days before, when you just walked in and, your biggest problem was, what are you going to drink? And, are you going to order food with it or not? And who's that? And looking around and seeing who you knew and waving over. And
even kind of hopping between tables saying hello to mates.
Yeah,
and
that's
whatever.
it. And that atmosphere, just for me, I really, really miss it. And I'm worried about how long it's going to be before we get that back as well. So, yeah, that's my big miss.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I've obviously missed lots of family, friends, that kind of stuff. Also, from being in the industry so much for so many years, missing so many of those amazing events where we would all actually get together. And, some of them we get kilted up, others you whip out the tweeds, but have some really good fun with like the industry mates, who are mostly my very good friends now anyway. And actually just having a good time, having a few whiskies, having some cocktails, having a bit of a laugh between you, not really knowing where the night is going to end up or what time you're finishing. And just the freedom to, you get an invite or you get called up and asked, say, do you want to come to the distillery? We're launching something or we're doing something. And it's not really a question of, don't know, do I have enough masks or sanitizer or how far is everyone going to be apart? It was always just like, yes, my calendar is now clear. I'll be on the next plane. And actually, speaking of that, air travel as well. Maybe not necessarily EasyJet, Ryanair, kind of European city hops, but like the long haul, but also even the domestic ones. Those really quick flights from Manchester.
Nothing to do with the fact that long haul, you didn't usually have the children with you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. The romance of air travel was very much alive in my long haul flying, that's for sure. Those beautiful seats, your little kind of in-flight office situation. Fantastic. I miss that. And the open bar.
I definitely do not miss the selfies of when you sat in your business class seat, sipping champagne with your eye mask on. Yeah. Definitely do not miss those and do not wish those ever to return.
I can't wait. That's going to be a hell of a long time. I don't think we'll get back to that for a long, long time. But even those lovely domestic ones, like being able just to pop up to Edinburgh, Glasgow on a train, but then also you could fly up to Inverness, go to a distillery or two, come back in the same day, theoretically. Yeah. Like that's something that's really annoying. And I think all the distilleries have done a really good job in connecting us or keeping connected with us through all of this. I've been doing my best to stay in touch with folks within the industry, but so many people are being blasted with hundreds of messages. It's going to have been a tricky time for everyone to stay in touch. Weirdly as well, there's only so many Zooms you actually want to be on. And actually this afternoon I'll be a participant in one for the first time in a long time. Normally I'm the one hosting, doing virtual tastings and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be quite strange doing that. But I also miss the interaction of real tastings. Like being there, feeling the vibe of the room, having like that kind of bounce between banter and answering someone's question, hearing someone heckle at the back, kind of politely shoot them down whilst getting a laugh to move on to the next conversation. Those kind of things. It's all something that you miss. Yeah. So yeah, let's hope it's not too far away. On that note, let's have a hear of what some of the other friends of ours within the industry are missing and what their thoughts are as well. Dave McCabe, blender for Irish distillers.
Hi Greg, Dave here, hope all is well. One thing I do miss since before the pandemic would be the travelling. I never thought I would have said that before. But beforehand, myself and Billy would have been travelling quite a lot on the road, both in Ireland and abroad in the UK and the States, mostly. So yeah, that's something I do miss a lot, I must say, since before the lockdown.
Billy Lighton, master blender for Irish distillers.
What have I missed since before the pandemic? People might think I'm mad, but I do miss the 320-mile commute from home to the distillery in Middleton. That's 5.5 hours, that I can catch up on whiskey podcasts, and I really miss that, and I feel that I've become a little bit disconnected from what's happening in the whiskey world.
Kevin O'Gorman, master distiller for Irish distillers.
Hello Greg, Kevin here from Middleton. How are you? Just thinking about the questions you've posed. The first one is, what have I missed over the last 12 months since this pandemic began? And I'd have to say, in terms of whiskey, it's been really, I suppose, getting out and about and meeting people at various events that I would normally go to. That would be, whiskey tastings, whiskey festivals, and also the whiskey launches. And it's just, I suppose, going out there, meeting people, having a drop of whiskey, having a chat, getting feedback, and just meeting people that are as enthusiastic about whiskey as I am. And I really, really miss that. So we had a number of launches over the last number of months, even as an example. And whilst we use the technology and virtual tastings as good as we can, and they have worked really, really well, there's just nothing like meeting people in person and having a chat and interchanging. It's just brilliant, and I really have missed that.
Helen Mulholland, Master Blender for Bushmills Irish Whisky.
Hi, my name is Helen Mulholland and I'm the Master Blender for Bushmills Irish Whisky. The thing I miss most is being able to see family and friends who live far away and share a wee dram.
John McShane, Brand Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
I've been asked what I have missed the most during lockdown. Well, in 2019 I was delighted and honoured to visit around 12 countries around the world on behalf of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society and share our whisky and our camaraderie and our friendship with our ambassadors and our members in all of these countries. We had really, really good times, festivals, just gatherings, and the appreciation for Scotch Malt Whisky Society whisky is incredible right around the world. And I really, really miss that, because last year in January I managed to visit Denmark, as I do every year for their festival, and after that nothing was available and everything was locked down, so basically I haven't been anywhere, and I can't even get back to Scotland until May, I think. So that's the thing I've missed the most, all of my travels and my friends and meeting them all around the world.
Mark Thompson, Glenfiddich Brand Ambassador.
Hi there, Mark here from Glenfiddich. Greg's asked me to say a few words about coming out of lockdown, in particular perhaps things I've missed whilst being in this situation, which we've all been, of course. First and foremost, I miss going to the hairdressers and visiting my tailor. These were luxuries I saw in the past that I really took for granted, and now it's really bearing down on me, literally. But I've also missed the spontaneity of just bumping into friends in bars or restaurants and sharing a dram or just a story. That chance to reconnect with people. Perhaps you may not have seen them for some time, you may have just seen them last week, but the unplanned meetings and coming together over a dram, I think, is a really special moment, and I've missed that. It's not the same when it's online and you plan a Zoom call. And in a Zoom meeting, let's face it, if you get bored, you can switch the camera off and pretend you've lost connection. I think it forces you, when you're face to face, to really engage with people again and have a meaningful conversation and meeting.
Fraser Campbell, Dewars Brand Ambassador.
So the one thing I miss most before all this would be jet lag and hanging around airport lounges, honestly.
Awesome to hear what those guys are missing, and also their kind of views, and even just to see them again was amazing as well. Thank you all very much for participating and giving your time to answer my random Sunday morning email that got sent out at about 5 a.m. One Sunday morning about all of this. So I guess on that note, we have to think of the flip side and the positive and the potential happiness side of this. What is the one thing that we're most looking forward to? And I'm going to say right now, it goes without saying, seeing friends and family and spending time and hugs and all that kind of stuff. But the one thing from a boozing perspective or a sociability perspective, for me, is actually sitting at a bar without a bloody mask on, speaking to the bartender, and then working my way through that whiskey list and those bottles that I see in front of me, having a chat, seeing, trying random cocktails, having a bit of a laugh with the bar staff, that kind of thing. That's always what I was about, even like in London or whenever we've been traveling. Wherever I've been around the world, I don't really like sitting at tables in bars. I prefer sitting at the bar to get a real feel for the place and understanding of it.
Yeah, some of our best recommendations have been from sitting at the bar and meeting new people. It's really easy to get to know people when you sat there sharing a drink.
It is. It really is. So go on then. What's your one thing?
My one thing is looking forward to having no rules over who I can meet and having to check the rule book for where are we going? Are we going to Scotland? Are we allowed to go to Scotland? Are we not? Are we going to go to Wales? Are we not? So yeah, not having to then send a WhatsApp out and say, who wants to go for a drink? And 7 people respond. And you're like,
inviting based on the timestamp of their response.
How do we go about this? And then someone's not going to turn up at the last minute. So yeah, try that regulation of fun.
All regulated
again,
fun.
all needed. Like we've got to a lot better place now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. And I like a rule. I like things to be,
you love a rule.
I like to know where the line is, and when to step over it and when not to.
We're different like that, aren't we?
So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. So just feel that little bit on your shoulders that makes you feel a bit guilty for being out, and once all that goes, yeah, it does though.
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah. That's all. But no, I do get it. Yeah, like having that, like having to scan the QR code wherever you go. Everywhere.
And then I'm coming over. Have you scanned it? Can I see that you scanned it? Can I see? It's like
chill out, dude.
Stay 2 meters away from me. I've scanned it. Thank you.
Back up, man. And I say not getting within 2 meters of people, or even when someone has amazing news and not being able to go for a pint and have a hug or whatever. It's just ridiculous. But it is necessary for now, and we have to follow the rules and do the right thing. But when it's gone, it'll be a happy, joyous
I'm actually looking
day.
forward to looking back on this podcast in about 5 years' time and be like, can you believe that's what we were worried about?
Can I just clarify, you think it's going to be like this for 5 years?
No, but when it's been a long amount of time and we were thinking, and we hopefully we'll forgot about this. We'll see. But just to think back at like the little things that we were asking, that we didn't have any rules to go to a pub.
Oh man, amazing. One day. Oh, they could actually, at this time, we're recording this April 22nd. We cannot go inside a pub legally. Yeah. We cannot go inside a pub unless you're going to the toilet from a one-way system.
Yeah.
I've never been in a queue for the gents, even at Wembley Stadium. It's ridiculous. But yeah, there you go. Let's see what our guests from earlier had to say about the one thing they're looking forward to as well.
What I'm looking forward to when life gets back to normal, I think it's, whiskey events, just being in a large room with a lot of people talking about whiskey, tasting whiskey. We would have released a good few expressions now since the beginning of the lockdown or the pandemic. So, and we haven't been on the road to talk to anyone about them to get their feedback. So that's something I'm looking forward to, really, is just big old whiskey events like the good old days.
Yeah, what am I looking forward to when we get back to some sort of normality? No question, it's getting back to live events, going and meeting, especially those advocates of Redbreast, a great community of followers. It's getting to talk to them face to face again. Like it has been great, with the technology. Zoom and Microsoft Teams have been wonderful and kept us connected to a degree, but there's nothing as rewarding as speaking to those people again face to face.
So Greg, in terms of looking forward, and what I'm really looking forward to when all this ends, I'd have to say is going down to my local pub in my local town of Mitchelstown in North Cork, about a half an hour here from Middleton Distillery, and meeting my family and my close friends, and I suppose eventually celebrating Middleton Very Rare 21. It was a very big deal for me this year with the launch of MVR 21, but I haven't had a chance really to celebrate with my family or my close friends because of the lockdown, and it's been difficult. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, getting my friends and family together in my local pub, opening a bottle of MVR 21 or 2 or 3, and having great chat talking about, you know, the last few months and what's gone on, and looking forward then as well. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. All the best.
I am most looking forward to spending time with the loved ones, and I cannot wait to be able to welcome visitors from all across the world back to the north coast of Ireland and to the old Bushmills distillery, the world's oldest licensed whisky distillery.
And after lockdown, I'm a man of simple pleasures, so I'm really looking forward to getting back to my hometown of Glasgow and visiting the venue for the SMWS there, which only opened last year a week before it had to close down again. And also looking at the fun of visiting the Bon Accord and meeting my old pal Paul, and maybe even having a few drams before I wander up to Firhill to see the famous Partick Thistle, and then come back down again afterwards to either celebrate or drown my sorrows. Unfortunately, it's been mostly the latter in recent years. But that's what I'm looking forward to, starting off getting home to Glasgow, seeing the venue and the Bon Accord before I start any travels around the world thereafter.
So I suppose the upside and the things I'm looking forward to is exactly that. Reconnecting with people, having the freedom to explore Scotland again. I love the outdoors. I love going to new bars, visiting friends in all four corners of this wonderful land. So when we do eventually get the green light to go ahead, I think that'll be the first thing I do. Straight to a pub to have a pint of ale in a glass poured by someone else that I can sit and then drink as I look across the bar to choose the dram I'm going to have with it. And perhaps, if I'm lucky, a friend walks in and we sit down and the conversation carries on. So there's nothing planned for me, it's just a hope and looking forward to that situation, the chance meetings. I do hope whatever happens, you're all safe and well, and we see each other in a bar soon over a pint and a Glenfiddich. Slange.
And the first thing I'm looking forward to is basically just being in a pub or a bar with some pals and a couple of good drams, belting out some power ballads at closing time. So see you guys for that soon.
So now on to some questions. One thing that we get asked repeatedly over and over again is whiskey and water. How do we feel about it? Should we put ice with our whiskey? Are we allowed to mix it? All these different scenarios, and we are going to answer it from our point of view.
So from our side, we've always said, haven't we, that as long as people are smiling as they're enjoying their whiskey, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And so whether they're having it neat, whether they're putting water in it, mixing it, occasionally putting ice in it, fine. Personally, I don't particularly care if anyone buys bottles of our limited edition Scotch whiskies and then put lilt in it, for example, or random mixes, because if that's what they want to do to have a great experience, that's the right thing. There's a couple of, I wouldn't say rules, but more guidelines when it comes to these things though. Ice, if you're actually trying to taste your whiskey, ice numbs your tongue. So by adding ice to it, you're actually shortening the kind of bandwidth of flavour that you can actually detect and enjoy from it. So it doesn't matter if you're just sitting in your favourite chair in the house in the evening, watching TV, whatever, and having a couple of whiskies and you don't really care, you're just drinking because you're enjoying it, right? That's different to wanting to taste and detect and kind of think about them. If you're doing the latter, then we'd definitely advise not to use ice. We always say to have the whiskey in a glass. Doesn't really matter which glass per se, although the Glencairn glass is obviously the official whiskey glass of GreatDrams, and so we pretty much always use these. Also, because we've got about 600 of them knocking around, it kind of makes sense.
And we always lose them to guests. When anybody comes and tries, well, obviously not for a while now, but when anyone did used to come round and try them, they always want to leave with a Glencairn because they've just enjoyed the whole process of smelling the whiskey and really deciphering those different taste notes in there with that glass.
And we always let them have it, didn't we? Because then every time they have a whiskey at home, they've got our brand on the glass. So, yeah, they're not silly. So we always say, though, to try it neat first, whatever whiskey it is. Always try it neat first, even if it's the smallest sip, just to understand what we kind of coined a while back of distiller's intent or blender's intent. So the producer who's made that whiskey, they had a vision for what they wanted from that flavour profile, or when they found that cask, they fell in love with a certain aspect of it, and that is the thing that they bottled. So if you immediately pour the whiskey and then flood it with water, or put your iron brew in it, it's not necessarily doing the actual product justice. You could interchange it with anything.
Yeah, and for me, it's not even that first taste of whiskey, it's the second one. The first one just wakes everything up. Sometimes, it depends what you've been eating before, and as you said, like the impact of ice, if you've had cold drinks as well, your mouth will be slightly numb. So for me, it's you take that sip to wake everything, all your taste buds up, and get a good coating around your mouth, and then it's that second sip that really, for me, is where I decipher all of my tasting notes and feelings towards that whiskey.
100%. Yeah, and then after that, do what the hell you want with it, really. Just remember, though, if you're adding water, you can always add more. You cannot take it away. So some people say, I add 1 drop and it opens it up. Really? What I would always question on that is your whiskey, for example, that, which is like a relatively standard size measure, or is it down here? Because if you're down here, 1 drop will do something totally different if it's at this level. Or if you can't be asked to stand up for a while, is it up here? Home pours, lockdown pours, that kind of thing. Then 1 drop will do nothing at all. So we think more in terms of percentages, and going up 5% first, then 10, then topping out at about 15, sometimes 20 if it's like a really high ABV.
And that's the point as well, it's the ABV. So if you're looking at a lower ABV product, it's already got a lot of water in it, so be really careful about how much you're putting in there. But as you're getting, above your 48, 50, there is room for water there if that's what makes you feel more comfortable. So of course, be careful, but also enjoy the experiment too, because you're actually bringing that ABV down by adding the water, and it's a totally different experience for you as well.
And that's what we do as well. Every time we try a new whiskey, always try it neat a couple of times, and then that's it. Water goes until it's at the right level for us, or me personally anyway. And then that's it. We enjoy it like that. So yeah, don't be not asking for it if you do venture out now, or even not using it at home because you think people are going to give you some grief. It's definitely one of the best tools that we have as a point of reference when I sit on the judging panel for the IWSC, the Spirits Masters, the World Whiskies Awards, some other stuff that I always forget. And in doing that, especially with the IWSC, we actually try whiskies at half their ABV. So we'd actually cut it down to 20% normally when judging to make sure it all stands up, all the flavours stand up, all the kind of aromatics, all the nuances, all the production processes kind of follow through for absolute purity. So it doesn't matter where you net out with it as long as you're enjoying it. And now it's time for what will become a regular feature on the podcast, and it's us talking about our whiskey of the week. So our favourite whiskey from the last week. It may be one we've tried before, it may not be, it may be completely new, just whatever we happen to have been trying in the last week that has kind of piqued our interest. And for me, let's pick the bottle up here, try not to drop it, is a relatively unheard of one from Teeling, from their sommelier selection. And it's their Teeling whiskey, so Irish whiskey, and it's their Margot wine cask. So this one from their sommelier section, as I said, I've got absolutely no idea how many bottles were produced. I actually bought a bottle of this off of my father-in-law last year to use in a whiskey tasting with some friends and clients, and because it was all about innovation and different cask finishes, and then ended up regretting it because as soon as we all tried it together, I loved it. Absolutely loved it, and I couldn't find it for love nor money. And then a very good brand ambassador friend of mine, the Jewish brand ambassador, Fraser Campbell, he called me up the other week saying, "Oh mate, I've just found this amazing website. It's got all these old Teeling limited editions that we thought were all sold out. And I've just bought 3 bottles of the Margot cask. It's been sent over, and then UPS delivered it. But when they got to the door, they demanded £72 in duty and VAT before they'd hand it over." And so we laughed and whatever. Then a couple of minutes later, I got on the same website and thought, what, screw it, I'll have 2 bottles of this for myself. But unlike Fraser, UPS didn't shaft me for it. I managed to get mine without any additional duty charge. Marvellous. But the most important reason why is on that first taste of it, and I have to say, I got it the exact same yesterday or 2 days ago when I was video reviewing it. To me, this is effectively Ribena with an ABV.
Really?
It is boozy Ribena. Those deep kind of berry and wine notes work together and just sent me to a Ribena place, which, I mean, I do like my Ribena, but not very often anymore. But yeah, absolutely loved it. It's got that lovely smoothness that you'd expect from an Irish whiskey, but then also has that lovely kind of wine character, that wise wine character. You can get that is a deep, powerful Margot cask.
Well, the wine influence on that, really strong, isn't it?
I love that. I'm guessing from your
I'm
face
not
you weren't
getting
too
the
keen
Ribena.
on that one.
No, I love it. I'm not keen on your Ribena description.
Really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't get
what?
that at all.
That's
No,
all I get from it.
I'm really not getting that.
Oh man, but then again, that is also why whiskies are so amazing.
You're getting a lovely sweetness, like a sweet wine, but not Ribena.
You need to go and try some Ribena.
No, I know what Ribena tastes like.
Tastes like this, but without the ABV. Telling you.
What ABV is that one?
46. Alcohol by volume.
It is delicious though.
Stunning, isn't it? I've already ordered another one just in case. This time I'll probably get £1,000 UK charge just to make up for it.
After being so confident.
I know. So what's your whiskey of the week then, Kirst?
My whiskey of the week is this Dewar's blended Scotch. It is double aged for ultimate smoothness, and I couldn't agree more. It is so deliciously smooth. And this one's 21 years old and a favourite of mine because it's obviously been finished in Oloroso sherry casks.
You're a massive sherry head, aren't you? You love a bit of sherry. I mean, look at the colour on that thing as well.
That's it. Before I even opened it, I knew that I was going to love this. It's just that smoothness, but also, I know it's the cliche, but the Christmas cake, sultanas, raisins. It's just got boozy Christmas written all over it. And then you get that lovely vanilla, which just adds to smoothness for me. And then for me now, the finish, that syrupy thickness.
That's so good. Also got awarded World's Best Blended Scotch just a couple of weeks ago. And for 2 years running, their master blender, Stephanie McLeod, on the back of this release actually, got Master Blender of the Year. So incredible. Yeah. It is also one of my faves as well. My favourite brands and the whole team there are awesome. That whiskey, I shared one with your dad, didn't I, a few weeks ago. Yeah. That first time we were allowed to actually be anywhere near each other for a whiskey. And he's not normally one to say many really kind of overt, I love this kind of thing, is he? But with that, my God, he was all over it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Especially if he's not Irish as well. He's got a very keen...
Yeah. That was the only Scotch whiskey we tried that night. And we went through things like Middleton Very Rare 2020. We went through the new Mulberry cask from Method of Madness, Red Spot, Red Breast 10-year-old, all these amazing new kind of Irish whiskies. And he said the Scotch was his favourite of the night. I was pretty chuffed with that. Yeah. Pretty chuffed with that.
It is delicious.
Awesome. Anyway, that's both of our whiskies of the week. And if you guys want to send in any more questions, we will indeed answer those as best we can when we get them. And thank you very much for watching and listening. It really means a lot. And do feel free to always leave comments and review and all those lovely things.
And we are out and about at events again, so please check the website and you'll see an updated list of where we are. If you are making a special journey to come and see us, just pop us a message first just to check that nothing has changed and that we are still there. I'd hate for anybody to be disappointed and not get their whiskey samples.
Oh, one thing to probably point out then, those of you who were looking forward to buying the Tam Do single cask, single malt that we released just 6 weeks ago, that is all now totally sold out. We have a few of the 20 CLs knocking around, literally a few, and then it's gone forever. The full-size bottles, the 50s, they've gone, all sold out as of a few days ago. So, yeah, maybe there's a new release coming soon. We'll see. We'll see. Cheers. Until next time.